me for just a moment because there are some very important people I want to make sure I thank, and so I have a list here because I'll forget. The first I'd like to thank are our sponsors, NIOP, and let's see, I'm going to read it so I don't forget anyone. We have NIOP and ANJAC, New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, Dennis Toff, Greener by Design, Camp Wapelani alumni, Land Associates. Thank you so much for your contributions. The Kirk family, I think, also provided some funding, and, of course, our wonderful Board of Trustees. So thank you so much for supporting us. Is that door locked?
I don't think it's locked.
Can you open that and ask Chef Mike to step out here?
Chef Mike, so I can see it. Hot second.
So the meal that you're being served today has been under development for longer than today. We've been thinking about this, the menu and the people who needed to help. But this is our great chef, Mike, and I want everyone to give him a round of applause for all the work he's done. It's very important that you understand how important that food service is to a year-round environmental education center. It's critical to us to provide healthy, safe meals, and Chef Mike is our leader and makes sure that he does that every day, every time our students are here. So thank you, Mike. The other group I would like to thank...
Don't applause till after you eat.
The other group of people. So when you were walking around today and just taking a look, did you see some changes? Did you see some? Yeah, pretty cool, right? So I don't know if Bern and Bill and any of the crew are here, but are they? Anyone here representing the crew? Bill is actually in the kitchen too, so he's playing double duty. The parking, all of our facilities, everything that's happened here is because of our extraordinary facilities crew. So I think we owe them a round of applause. So the other person I would like to thank is my executive assistant, Michaela Sales. Michaela, come over here a minute. All right. So I'm a very hands-on supervisor, but it became very clear that there was no way I could both greet all of you and manage and coordinate. Michaela has only been with us, a couple of months, and since March, she stepped up, and everything you see here, everything that happened today and that's going to happen this afternoon is because Michaela coordinated it. So thank you, Michaela. The other group of people I want to thank are our Board of Trustees and advisors and honorary trustees. Can you all just stand up so everyone can see who you are? I am completely honored to be able to work with this group of people. They are the most powerful, the most caring, the most supportive individuals that I could ever hope to have as a board. And they lift me up and make everything possible so that we can deliver environmental education everywhere to everyone. So thank you, Board of Trustees. There are two people I would like to thank that helped us during some really difficult times when we weren't sure if we were going to be able to keep this place open, and they became our champions in the state legislature. One of them is here today, and Senator Bob Smith, could you please stand up? He has been our partner, our champion. He takes my phone calls. How about that, So we are very, very grateful to you, Senator, for everything that you've done and continue to do for us. Thank you. I'd also like to thank my education staff and our master educators and our kitchen crew who is making everything today and every day happen. So thank you all for the wonderful programming that you deliver and for supporting me and helping kind of deliver the programs that the Board of Trustees expect that we deliver. So thank you all. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my family, my husband Ed, my 2 sons, and my extended family, my brother Paul, who's here, my sister and her sons. My other brother, who couldn't make it up from Florida, has been sending me texts congratulating and thanking me for helping to save the School of Conservation. Family is the most important thing in life. There is nothing more important than family. And what's interesting for me is I feel like I have 2 families. I have my own personal family, and then I have all of you. And so I love you and thank you. And Ed and the boys, thank you so much for all that you do for me. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to our extraordinary president, who is going to say a couple of words, and then we're going to invite Chief Vincent Mann. I saw you somewhere. Where did I? Right there. Who will give us a blessing, and then my brother Paul, who will give us a toast. So, please.
Great. So, if you just want to it later?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's me again. A little taller than Carrie, so I'm going to hold this. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Again, Jennifer Coffey, have the extraordinary pleasure of being the president of the School of Conservation. I think our mic is going in and out. Yeah? I can be Irish and be really loud if I have to. Yeah, that's an option when you grow up in a large Irish Catholic family. I just want to take a second and say thank you again for all of you being here. And clearly, this place is magic. And the magic runs through generations here. You have all been touched by the School of Conservation and the magic that is here. And the work that you're doing here today, whether you know it or not, to continue the legacy, to keep it moving forward for another 75 years, to inspire the children who know this place and are yet to know this place, is incredibly important. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. I also want to take a second and we thank the board. I am continually inspired by you and honored to be part of our coalition and our mission together to do what we can for this place. I am eternally grateful for Senator Smith and all of his work to make sure that the legacy of this place lives for generations to come. And grateful to Chef Mike and his crew for feeding us regularly. And I just want to thank the entire crew of the staff and the contractors for the School of Conservation, because I am in awe of the work that you do. I cannot do what you do. And so ask them about the changes that they've seen. I'm particularly proud of the toilets that are amazing now. There's a lot of hard work that doesn't always get the credit, and I don't know where Bern is. Is he in the kitchen right now? Is that what we heard? All right, Bern's running around outside. So the hands up. Anybody who's ever worked at a nonprofit? Okay, so y'all know what it's like. You don't just wear one hat, right? You're the contractor, you're the chef's assistant, you're the, oh God, something went wrong with the toilets, you're the everything. So you guys are phenomenal. We see you, we are grateful for you, and we appreciate you. And I hope that all of you have a fabulous lunch, and I am just inspired and thankful for Chief Mann for being here today, and would like to turn it over to him now.
Kiha Kolomosi, Ninju Shinzi, Kikai Wapalane We, Manato, Man, Nunjiai, Lamawa, Wanjakil, Wak, Lamawa, Tekwa, Nishit, Kishela Mokwang, Elamilian Yong Kwai Kishkwik, Wakukana Aki, Wak Tinda, Wak Umbi, Wakilongot Matit, Waknimbum Mausawakanum. Anishik, 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 Anishik. I said in our language, which is Munsee, how are you all? My name is Chief Eagle Spirit Man. If you didn't know what Wapalani means, you do now. I asked the Creator to thank us for this day, thanking the water and the trees, the ones that slither, the ones that fly, the ones that crawl, for those that walk on 2 legs, the ones that walk on 4. And most importantly, I asked the Creator to be thankful for our lives, right? Each and every one of us. For those of you who don't know who I am Chief Man. I am the Turtle Clan Chief of the Ramapo Munsee Nation, no matter how it's spelt. And, while, all these good human beings are here to celebrate 75 years, right, of conservation, our ancestors have been doing it for nearly 13,000. And we appreciate the efforts of Kerry and others who come before her, those who will come after, to continue to hold this land in their heart, to leave their spirit in it, just as our ancestors are. Everything that ever has lived on our Mother Earth, everything, every living thing will always return back to its soil. Everything. It tells you why our vegetables are sacred. It tells you why, those trees are sacred. It tells you why you hear about water is life and how sacred that water is, because it passes through everything that's ever lived on this planet. Remembering that, right? I'm the somber person in the room today because while I'm here, I'm not speaking on behalf of Chief Man. I'm speaking on behalf of the Ramapo Lenape Nation, all the Munsee people that are in Canada, Wisconsin, Kansas, Missouri, and for those who can't speak from my community in Ringwood, New Jersey. So that's who you hear, that's their voice, right? That's their voice. So with that, I continue to offer up my prayers for this land and the protection for the people who continue to hold it as sacred to them as we do. Thank you. So this final words of mine is a song that was gifted to me by my brother who found himself and his family transplanted to Stockbridge Reservation in Wisconsin a few hundred years ago. And it's a song where it's thanking the Creator for making me Lenape. And while many people use the terminology Lenape, Lenni Lenape, Lunape, do they really understand what that means? Right? The only difference between anybody standing or sitting in this room, right, is where our ancestors come from. Because we're all indigenous people, every single one of us in this space. Except for Kishalomokwane, the Creator chose this place for our ancestors and our people to be. So this song is thanking the Creator for making me Lenape, a human being, is what it references. Well, hey, well, well, hey, oh, well, hey, ah, hey, oh, way. Well, hey, oh, well, hey, oh, well, hey, ah, hey, oh, way. Anashik manetu Nilu napau wako hey ah hey oh hey. Well, hey. you will, hey, hey, way. Well, hey, you will, hey. Well, hey, you will, hey, well. Well, hey, well, hey, hey, way. Well, hey, you will, hey, you will, hey, hey, way. Anashig maneto Nilu na pawa kuwe oh hey hey way way oh hey you oh hey you oh hey hey way. Anishik, thank you everyone. Mechki Sheptone, Lapich Kanala Lomwa. Done speaking now, and until I see you all again, be blessed.
Thank you, Chief Man. That was beautiful. I'd like to invite my brother Paul and ask you all to stand and pick up your champagne for the toast.
Thank you, Carrie. And Chief, thank you very much for that blessing. And thank you to all of you for being here and helping us celebrate. As we toast and celebrate SOC, I'd like to just take a moment and recognize the impact that this institution has had on the entire world. For the past 75 years, hundreds of thousands of students have been educated here. Thousands of teachers have been trained here. Teaching methods have been developed here which have changed the way that environmental education is taught throughout the entire world. In the field of environmental education, the New Jersey School of Conservation is hallowed ground. All those accomplishments have been made possible by the thousands of people over the decades and their wisdom, their vision, and their dedication. All the people that have worked here, past and present, and participated in the programs have been an integral part of the success of this great institution. From the maintenance staff, to food service, to medical services, to teachers, to participants, to teaching fellows, visiting professors, directors, legislators, volunteers, and all of you. All of the efforts of all of those individuals have ensured the success of this incredible institution and changed and advanced the path of environmental education throughout the world. So it is certainly proper, well, I believe personally that those efforts, because of those efforts, our forests are a bit greener, our waters are a bit cleaner, and our air is a bit fresher because of what was done here at the New Jersey School of Conservation. So it's certainly proper that we take this weekend to look back over the years and pay homage to this great institution and to the many amazing people who have contributed toward its success. But as we honor an amazing and accomplished past, let us direct our efforts now to an even greater future. A future where the New Jersey School of Conservation remains at the forefront of environmental education and in training tomorrow's leaders. 45 years ago, on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of the school, my father, Dr. Kirk, wrote a brief definition of the School of Conservation. He wrote, "The New Jersey School of Conservation is more than a unique educational facility. It's more than its 57 buildings, sparkling lake, exciting trout streams, lush forests, and rolling hills. The New Jersey School of Conservation is all of those, but much more. For it is a spirit, a dream, and a hope for the future that enables those participants as they participate in its many varied programs. May it always be thus. Let our actions from today forward continue to ensure that it is always thus. Let our actions ensure that the New Jersey School of Conservation continues to offer unique educational opportunities to all its students and participants. Let us ensure that the New Jersey School of Conservation continues as a thought leader in environmental education the world over. Let us ensure, in short, that the New Jersey School of Conservation endures. And if we do that, I'm confident that someday in the future, 75 years from now, someone else will be standing in this very spot toasting the 150-year anniversary of this great institution. And when that day comes, I know that the forests will be greener, the waters will be fresher, and the air will be cleaner because of what was done here. Long live the New Jersey School of Conservation.
Thank you, Paul. That was beautiful. Oops. If everyone could just take a seat, and we're going to try to get you into the kitchen and grab your food. If you are still waiting to get in line to have your meal, please do so now. I think I've found most of you to get in line, but if you haven't, please get in line.
End of the line.
good afternoon, everybody. I am by no means asking you to stop eating, but I am asking for your ears for a second. So, thank you. And I think now that we've at least tasted the food, can we give a big round of applause for our Chef Mike and the crew in the kitchen? You hear that, Chef Mike? All right, thank you. So it is I got a lot of honors and a lot of pleasures in the last 24 hours here. So this is just a labor of love to be here. And that's not the champagne talking. So it really truly is my pleasure to introduce my friend and somebody who I have great respect for, our Commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection, Mr. Sean LaTourette. And so since we're on the weekend, I'm going to say Sean, if that's okay, if I could take the privilege of doing that. So Sean is a good friend of mine, as well as a colleague in our fight to make this great state greener, cleaner, more equitable, and more just. And so he has worked as hard, I think harder than anybody else, to make sure that this great state of New Jersey is in a position of leadership, not just today, but for years to come. And so I'm going to brag just a second on you for something that's, so in my professional life, I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, particularly specializing in water policy. So dirty water. You want clean water, you got to deal with dirty water, right? So we now have adopted and will be introduced soon something called NJ Pact. This is the governor's promise, his pact with New Jersey to make us climate ready. And Sean is the one putting forth these rules with a whole lot of help from his amazing staff, really smart people, who I can only hope to be a portion of that smart someday. And so this pact, this New Jersey Protecting Against Climate Threats, remember that, you're going to see a lot about it, is positioning New Jersey to be a leader. We are the first nation, the first state in the nation to say, hey, climate change, right, that's the thing. And we know that the past is no longer a predictor of the future because of the way our climate is changing, and we best get ready for it. So Sean has done yeoman's work in positioning us to protect our state now and generations to come. So he is a New Jersey son. He is educated at Rutgers University. Yay, Rutgers. Yay, Rutgers Law, which he graduated from. And he has been our commissioner. Now I got to get Irish on you. So he has been our commissioner for years now, and I look forward to working with him for years to come. I'm going to try to get you a second mic here because this one's going in and out. And so I'm going to stop and go back to my lunch and introduce my good friend, Commissioner LaTourette. He's going to do the mic for us. So.
Oh, it's on. I don't actually need much of a microphone because I am incredibly loud, but I'll use it nonetheless. So first of all, Jen, for that lovely introduction, I will work really hard to deserve those words. That's what I promise you. To Kerry, my dear, the loss of whom from the Department of Environmental Protection we may never recover. You have done such incredible work here. Oh, come on. You can stay. I know you can do it, little guy. Oh, look at that. No, see? This is why you got to surround yourself with smart people. Kerry, you have saved this place. Right? I mean, your family helped to build it, and you saved it. That is so incredible. So incredible. And I'll be honest because I have an honesty problem and it bothers people sometimes, but that's okay. I've been at the Department of Environmental Protection now for 6 years, and been its commissioner for 3.5. And I've traveled this state, I think, probably more than any other agency head or high-level official in the state of New Jersey, including my boss, Governor Murphy, because New Jersey DEP has the real privilege of managing nearly 1 million acres of public land all across our state. But despite my visitation of so much of that land, I have never been here until today. So, Kerry, thank you all. So Kerry has promised to give me a tour around. She wants to talk to me about budget cuts. And we'll talk about that because it's not okay, right? But thankfully, we have folks like Senator Smith, who I haven't gotten up to say hello to yet, and his lovely wife. So good to see you. But we'll talk about that, and Kerry, and I mentioned to Deb Kornowacki yesterday, you have my support, and I'll be there for you as we pursue this last month of budget negotiations as a state. So, the team at DEP is incredible. We're lucky to be joined by some of them today. Our Assistant Commissioner for State Parks, Forests, and Historic Sites, John Cecil, who, if you don't know, you should. He's a star. We've got Rebecca Fitzgerald, the administrator of our State Park Service, who is a gem. Josh Osowski, our regional superintendent, Neil, our superintendent here, and we've also got from my office, Emily Nanneman. Thank you, Emily. She works miracles in the world of communications, and communicating environmental issues is not always easy. So thank you, Emily. We've got Thomas Bringman from our Office of Water Resource Management. Thomas, good to see you. Look, there are 3,400 people who work at the Department of Environmental Protection across all of our different divisions, right? We are the Public Lands Administrator for the state of New Jersey, your Department of the Interior, as it were, right? We're the folks who make sure that you get clean drinking water, that New Jersey, in fact, remains the state with the strongest drinking water quality standards in the nation, and set the tone for everyone, because you deserve to turn on your tap and have clean water always. We help to make sure that the legacy of our industrial past, hazardous sites that dot our landscape, are cleaned up, put back to productive use. Right? We make sure that our air quality is continually improved upon. And though New Jersey is in non-attainment, if folks know what that means, under the Clean Water Act, or the Clean Air Act, rather, most of the time, that's actually not because of what we've done here in New Jersey. Right? Paul was mentioning how we've done great work over the years in improving our waterways and making our air fresher. Right? New Jersey has... I'm just going back, thinking my thoughts here to make sure I'm being accurate. Yes, among the strongest air quality laws and regulations in the country, right? But all the other states blow on us, right? Why is that? And their dirty choices become our kids' asthma, right? Right? Or worse, our neighbor's lung cancer. Right? And so the type of work that is done here, right? Creating an atmosphere of deep environmental education that reverberates beyond the state of New Jersey, it's going to help, and has helped, in fact, over the years, to get everybody else to clean up their act, right? And that's really important, and you should be so proud of yourselves. I thank you for that. I thank you for that. As a young person, I was no environmentalist, I'll be honest. I grew up in a poor family with not much, right? We didn't take vacations, but we had our state parks, as Rebecca Fitzgerald knows, and has heard me talk about this before, right? Because our parks, our open spaces, they were the places that my family went to recreate, right? Where we celebrated our special events. Right? One of the things that makes New Jersey so great is the expanse of open space that we have. And we're lucky to have the School of Conservation as a partner in caring for one of those really vital open and public spaces. And I had a lot of talking points organized around environmental education. And then I got here and I thought, this group doesn't need to hear me talk about environmental education. Because you know it and you do it. So I'm going to talk to you about something else instead. Something that I hope mobilizes you to action. And that is that the rest of our state, right, the folks who are a good 2 hours from here on a good day in Trenton making decisions for the rest of us, which I'm lucky to be a part of in some small way, they don't look like this room. They don't know what this room knows. And they're every day making decisions for us that are not prioritizing the issues that you all care about. And it makes it so critical to bring what is learned, what is studied, what is explored in this place and places like it to all the places that don't hear your message, that don't know what you know. That climate change is real, it is here, it is now. For example, that the waterways don't just take care of themselves, that every single decision every one of us makes every minute of every day is determining how much pollution flows into our streams and our brooks and our rivers, right? That how we plan and undertake our development patterns in the state of New Jersey, how much open space we conserve, how resiliently we build, that every single one of those decisions, every single one of them, has an unmistakable implication for the quality of our environment. Outside of spaces like this, that is not an assumed fact. And I think within spaces like this, we have to acknowledge that in many instances, we gather among those who care for the spaces and the issues that we too care for, right? Building community and camaraderie. But we must be careful that we're not always just talking to ourselves, right? To folks who think and believe and organize their lives and their businesses and their decisions around the same things that we do. Those folks 2 hours away in the halls of power who are making decisions for you, right? Believing they are doing so on your behalf because they are elected by you, or maybe not if you don't show up to the polls. There's an election on Tuesday, y'all. Right? They need to hear you in ways bigger than I know that they do. Because this time every year, as budgets are shaped, I'm called to sit before our elected officials, and I'm privileged to do that. I so love and honor the work that we do at the Department of Environmental Protection. But in their questions, I don't hear you. In the things that they say that they care about, I don't hear you. And I think that that is a problem, right? I was not asked during my budget hearings about reductions in funding for the New Jersey School of Conservation. And that's not because Kerry and the team here and Deb Kornavaca and her team are not doing the good, hard work. They are, right? But it takes a chorus, a loud one, to make the kind of change that is needed. It takes a chorus to change the fact that the land upon which this school is organized and run within Stoke State Forest, and all of our state parks and forests have not seen the type of investment that is needed to maintain their good care in over 30 years out of our state budget, right? Because in those places where decisions are made, they don't hear you. We assume that everyone carries this care for our environment, right? But the reality is that because of the successes we've had over the last 50 years of modern environmental law and regulation and conservation policy that have ensured that the rivers are no longer on fire and the air isn't daily stricken orange, right? Folks presume that the work is done. But what we teach here, what you all teach here, right? It knows the wisdom that you're imparting upon our young people helps them to know that some of the greatest risks in our environment today are the things you don't see, right? The contaminants in our water that are invisible, right? We presume too much about the quality of our environment, and the biggest risk and threat of all is that we presume someone else is taking care of it for us. And we take on that mantle for everyone at the Department of Environmental Protection. It is our job and it is our honor, right? But it doesn't happen just through the act of government agencies and bureaucracy itself. It takes the actions of every resident who loves their community, who cares for their neighbor the way they do themselves. And look, that characterizes all of us, right? It doesn't matter. Politics are irrelevant. It's not red or blue. Hell, it's all green if you do it right, right? So my message to you, my hope for you, is that you carry this spirit that I feel here today, that I am moved by, and you make sure everyone hears it, right? The people who are making decisions everywhere for all of us, they need to hear it. They need to hear that New Jersey invests less in its state parks and forest system by orders of magnitude less than every other state we would consider our peers, right? Has not grown. We've done a great job at conserving more property, creating more open space through constitutional dedications, right? Constitutional dedications that voters selected in 2013. And perhaps we thought that meant the work is done. But how do we care for that open space? How do we maintain our forests? How do we ensure good habitat health? How do we make the flooding stop? Right? It requires advocacy, the strength of your voices coming together, continually engaging with the young people that you bring here to ensure that their voices are lifted up beyond their time here, right? That they are in continually engaged with, so that they can carry this message as well. Because while I find myself often disappointed by the focus of elected leadership on environmental issues, I know one thing. They listen to their voters, right? Your actions matter, right? How you hold accountable those who are put into elected office matters, right? That they put people in place like these guys to do the good work, it matters, right? Because only together do we ensure that good care of the environment that unites us all. And to be clear, we've made great strides in recent years, right? I am proud to work for a governor who has prioritized environmental protection, but he doesn't get to make all of the decisions, nor do champions who have stood in our legislature and stood for the environment consistently over decades. And there is only one of those. He's sitting right there. Senator Bob Smith is your environmental caucus. But how dare we leave him to stand alone? Right? How dare we? And that's often what it can feel like as legislation moves through our legislature. And look, to be clear, I think we have a legislature of such good intention, truly. And the needs are deep and the money is short. It's why you should be heard to a greater degree than I know that you are. Because there is a reality that I think folks acknowledge when times of environmental crisis are upon us. Right? If nothing else, I think what my last 6 years has taught me is that when our environment is under threat, when the public health risks are high, our leaders stand up and act, right? When the city of Newark had a festering lead crisis in 2018, we acted. We solved that problem, right? Replacing every lead service line in that city, and every official who contributed to that, from the governor to the mayor to the legislature, right, should be applauded for that effort. It is damn good work, right? When the COVID pandemic hit us in 2020, and we realized that the folks who suffered most were in the same communities that for decades have been burdened by a disproportionate amount of pollution, we passed the strongest environmental justice law in the nation, right? So when I look back at the history of environmental law, which started in the state of New Jersey, truly started here, and then I look at the long period of time we go without big environmental legislation because we think the work is done, I see these moments happen, right? Whether it is our lead service line replacement law, our environmental justice law, our single-use plastics reduction law, our food waste recycling law, all sponsored by Senator Smith. We can come together and do those big things. But you know what we shouldn't wait for? Is that crisis, right? The original environmental laws that govern this country, the Clean Water Act that came about because the rivers were on fire, the Clean Air Act that came about because the skies were stricken orange, they were disaster response laws. We still today operate in the environmental realm in a responsive way. It is time to become more proactive. It is time for the next generation of policy that looks out into the future. And that is what Jen was talking about with respect to the New Jersey Protecting Against Climate Threats regulatory reforms. And that is where I see us moving forward. Right? Despite my sometimes disappointment about budgets and the degree to which we invest in our environment, I will tell you that every day at the Department of Environmental Protection fills me with hope, sometimes aggravation. It fills me with hope because every day people are pouring their hearts out to do this good work, just like you are here, right? And we know that no one of us does it together. And it's what leaves me confident, despite our challenges in water quality and flood control and public lands management and all the rest. I know that we are building toward a better future that puts a stronger, more just environment at its center, and that it's a future of partnership, right? Partnership like the one sown here between the School of Conservation and the State Park Service and our state forests, right? It's a future of partnership where we reject this old, tired, conventional wisdom that you get to have environmental improvement or economic development, right? It's a future where we reject false binary choices because they've always been false. It's a future that demands that we protect and improve our environment as we promote growth, because those things are inextricably tied and can be achieved together, right? You don't need to say no to economic development to promote environmental protection, right? It is a future where we treat the environmental challenges of any one community as a challenge to our entire New Jersey community. It's a future where there is no one industrial villain that seeks to pollute and plunder. And there's truly no one single conservationist with a monopoly on virtue either, right? Because just like the air we breathe and the water we drink, we are all interconnected, right? And we only do this together. It is such a pleasure to be with you. I thank you for the work that you do. Kerry, keep up the fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was wonderful. And I heard someone say, what can we do to help? The one thing that you can all do to help, and we'll send you a link, at least specifically associated with the School of Conservation, is to reach out to your legislators and ask them to support the budget resolution that Senator Smith and Senator McKeon have sponsored. We have 30 days to get the support we need from as many legislators that we can in every district across the state. So we'll send you I can't remember the numbers, shame on me, but I will send them out to you in an email as a follow-up for this. And if you reach out to your legislators, that's what you can do. And frankly, that is what you can do every day, all day, on any important matter that is of concern to you and your community. The legislators listen. Sean is absolutely correct. If they start getting phone calls, more than 3 phone calls on the same issue, all of a sudden, something's going on out there. So it makes a difference. Yes. Both. Everything. We will. We will do it. Yes. Can someone grab me my glasses right there? Thank you. I will. Yes, we'll do it all. Thank you. All right. There's 2 things I have to do before I do the Pioneer Award. I think they want to clear the plates. So why don't we clear? How do we do that, Tanya?
First step is going to come out.
Okay. All right. Great. Yes. All right. So staff, come on out. Yeah. Get them out. You want to cruise?
I do.
He's still there. What's that? What? It's what? Oh. Okay. All right. All right. I can't do it right now. Someone's going to have to take care of that. Okay, everyone. If I could have you, everyone could take a seat, please. If everyone could take a seat, please.
Attention, everyone. If you guys can all find your seats while we clean up, that will make it a lot easier for us, okay? Nobody's sitting. Nobody's listening. They're not listening, Karen.
They are.
This is a good crew over here.
All right, folks. We're going to move on to the awards portion of our event here. But before I do that, I have a letter that I've received from the governor. Attention, please. Attention. Miss Abby. Others. Okay, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Before we give our final award of the day, our Pioneer Award, I want to do two things. One is I'd like to read a letter from Governor Phil Murphy. Dear friends, on behalf of the state of New Jersey, it is my pleasure to welcome all who are gathered for the 75th anniversary of the New Jersey School of Conservation. For the last 75 years, the NJSOC has fostered environmental knowledge and action through education programs delivered in a natural setting. This is a community of diverse, responsible stewards of the earth who promote sustainability practices, climate change mitigation, and environmental justice. The New Jersey School of Conservation also serves as North Jersey's oldest year-round residential environmental education center. When threatened with closure 3 years ago, I was happy to sign legislation that turned over management of the school to the Friends of the New Jersey School of Conservation. This has allowed the NJSOC to reopen and continuing offering environmental education and climate change education programming to current and future generations of students. I want to thank all of the staff, volunteers, and coordinators who are part of New Jersey School of Conservation's important mission. All of you, independently and collectively, have changed lives throughout New Jersey, and I commend all of you, who will continue your future endeavors. Best wishes for an enjoyable and memorable event. My very best, Phil Murphy. Senator Smith. Senator Smith, would you like to say a couple of words?
Very few.
Okay.
So on the mantelpiece, on the mantel behind me, is a resolution by the Senate of the state of New Jersey, Senator McKeon and myself as the sponsors of the resolution, congratulating the School of Conservation on 75 years of service to the people of New Jersey. You've done more than service, all right? When young people come here and when they learn from you and when they get a chance to suck in the gorgeousness that this place has and the environment here, they become true champions of the environment. I will tell you that poor kid, urban area, what got me into the environment was being a camp counselor for Boy Scouts of America. We had a wonderful wooded area up in the Scranton area. And it, nature, you give it any kind of chance to get into your body, it's going to get in there. So you're doing great work. Under Kerry's leadership, I think you're expanding all the programs that are available to New Jersey youth. Keep it up. We need all the help we can get. As the commissioner said, well, he didn't quite say it, but the end of the world is coming. All right? And if we don't get our rear ends in gear, it's going to get here faster. How many times do you have to pick up your newspaper or watch your television? Texas is burning down, or half the country from the western end was burning down a couple years ago. Look at the floods in California. Look at Ada in New Jersey, 29 New Jerseyans dead, flooding where we've never seen it before. Look at the tornadoes that are landing through the Midwest, crushing people and property. The world is coming to an end. By the way, this is called the hope and despair speech. All right. So the commissioner's advice was great advice. Get off, and don't take this the wrong way, but everybody's got to get off their tuchus. You don't want to just send a letter to your legislators on this particular topic quickly, but you want to call them. You know, when you get in the face of legislators, you'll be amazed at how quickly they get the message. I mean, we're in the business of being sensitive to what our people want and feel is important to them. And don't just do it on the School of Conservation, which is the immediate issue in the next 30 days, but with the commissioner's support, John McKeon and I, we senators get a chance to put in our 6 most important budget items. John and I have put in the School of Conservation as one of the 6. But I will tell you, because you don't normally go through a budget process, they literally hold people against the wall and hit them. I mean, it's a violent process because not only have you been cut, but all kinds of organizations and programs have been cut, and everybody's fighting to get their most important program in the whole world funded. So those cards, those letters, and by the way, don't limit it to just your legislators. Send it to the governor. Send it to Craig Coughlin, who's the Assembly Speaker. Send it to Nick Scutari, who's the Senate President. Let them know how important this is. You all have friends on the Internet. You have family all over the state of New Jersey. Give them a call. Say, listen, we have to get into this. We have to let people know how important it is that we're doing here at SOC. So everybody got it? Yeah. All right. One last commercial message, because the commissioner did it. So the commercial, you may not understand why this is so important, but I'm going to tell you quick. Our only chance to survive possible end of the world is to have an internet or have a grid that works. We have an electrical grid that is a total failure. All right? So all this attempt to get renewable energy, wind, more solar, it will come to naught if we can't get it from one place to another. So we're trying to do legislation to do grid modernization. And then we have a clean energy standard, which right now it's in the governor's energy master plan, that we want to be 100% renewable by 2035. And you'd say, well, only a goal. You know, what's a goal? Right now it's in the energy master plan, and as long as he's the governor, and he's been a pretty green governor, so long as he's the governor, state agencies have to make decisions with that as a guiding principle. Once he's gone, and politicians, thank God, are not forever, but once he's gone, there's a new governor, and the new governor may not feel the same way. So we're trying to put it into statute. So it's the law of New Jersey that we need to be making decisions with that as the framework. So it's another big piece of legislation. That's not the crisis du jour. The crisis du jour is funding the School of Conservation, but keep your eyes on that other stuff and get the same level of involvement. The commissioner's speech, in a nutshell, get off your tuchus. And you guys are the most motivated people in New Jersey. So if you're not doing that, you're missing a whole opportunity. On that happy note, $2.2 million for the Society of Conservation, or for the School of Conservation. What do you say? All right. Did I say that
right? Okay, I know dessert is ready, but I don't want to delay our award to Jackie Russell Patterson any longer, and so I'm not going to. Okay, so when we were thinking of someone that we could honor who has been part of the School of Conservation from the very earliest times, we thought of Jackie Russell Patterson. And I just want to talk to you for a moment about what a pioneer is. I looked it up because I really wanted to know exactly what the ingredients are of a good pioneer. So a pioneer is someone who is among the first to explore or settle a new country or area. It's a person who is the first or among the earliest in any field of inquiry, enterprise, or development. A pioneer opens up a new line of thought or activity or a new method or technical development. A pioneer is someone who sees potential and is an innovator who is willing to try new things. A pioneer pushes boundaries to advance a cause or an idea or break a record. A pioneer is someone who has experienced success in their field, sometimes by overcoming great challenges. Jackie Russell Patterson first arrived at the New Jersey School of Conservation in 1962 as a pre-service teacher at Patterson State College. The program she participated in was one that had been negotiated years before between the state of New Jersey and the 6 state colleges at the time, whereby a pre-service educator was required to spend 1 week learning about conservation and natural resource management with the idea that they would bring lessons from the natural world into their classroom. The experience was so impactful that Jackie went on to receive her instructorship in riflery from the NRA and became the first riflery instructor at Camp Wapelani in 1964. This was just a year after my dad, Dr. John J. Kirk, had arrived as the 5th director of the New Jersey School of Conservation. Dad was impressed with Jackie's intelligence, creativity as an educator, and her administrative skills. She quickly went from being head camp counselor to program director and even served as weekend coordinator for school groups throughout 1964 and 1966. During this time, my dad and Jackie struck up a great friendship and shared a mutual interest in the evolving field of outdoor education as it began to tackle complicated environmental issues with discussions on how it should become part of school curriculum. My dad encouraged Jackie to pursue a master's degree in environmental education and study at the University of Michigan under Dr. William Stapp, who was innovating ideas in this emerging educational field. The idea was that she would complete her studies there and would then return to the School of Conservation as the public school coordinator and work with Dad to implement some of the new concepts in environmental ed that were being developed at the University of Michigan. According to her colleague and longtime friend and assistant director, Jerry Sherlow, within a month of her return to the School of Conservation, my dad received letters from 4 of the 6 state colleges that had signed agreements with the state, stating that they would no longer be sending students to the school for training in natural resources because they had shifted their college's focus from teacher training to liberal arts. In one day, the school lost 90% of its revenue stream. The day became known, according to Jerry, as Black Tuesday. So as Jerry told the story to me, Jackie went right to work. She put together a program in the new field taking from the new field of environmental education concepts and approaches she had learned while studying under Bill Stapp. This included creating an interdisciplinary approach by integrating environmental ed into the 4 curriculum areas of science, humanities, social studies, and recreation. She created a community assessment survey whereby data about the community was collected in advance of a school visit. The data was then used and shared with staff so they could customize the lessons taught so that the information was relatable to their life experience. Such data included things like water supply, population, forest type, open space, critical environmental problems, and so on. These surveys were updated every 5 years to reflect the current status of the community. Jackie was also responsible for initiating the concept of orientation and summation, which we continue to conduct with each group who visits us today. She was responsible for regular and ongoing contact with school coordinators, developing relationships with teachers and administrators that have lasted for decades, long after she left, and have become the key reason you are all here today. Positive and productive relationships are enduring. Jackie is also responsible for initiating the American Craft Heritage Program, something we still offer to schools today, and you'll get a chance to sample this afternoon. Jackie is also creative and rather famous, the School of Conservation Teacher's Manual that included lessons and ideas on the delivery of education programs. And in that guide, she shared her philosophy, and I'm going to quote what she wrote. Today, environmental studies include the total fabric of human knowledge and provides children with a better understanding of the total environment and assists them to become more enlightened citizens who are better prepared to meet future environmental problems and solve them for the betterment of mankind. Jackie's words. So I go back to the definition of pioneer, which I opened with. First, to explore a new area. Check. The first in a field of inquiry. Check. Opens up a new line of thinking. Check. Someone who is an innovator. Check. Someone who has overcome great challenges. Check. Someone who has pushed boundaries. Check. There is no question that Jackie Russell Patterson is a pioneer in the field of environmental education, and especially as it relates to the programs and philosophy here at the School of Conservation. Although Jackie was at the school for only 5 years, during that time she not only created a new education program that has been shared around the world, but in many ways her creativity and beliefs in the mission of the School of Conservation helped to save it from closure. During her tenure, she increased the school programs 200% and kept the doors open so that many young people could experience the beauty and magic that is the School of Conservation. I'd like to just close by saying, Jackie, I was, I think, 6 years old when you first came here. And your sisters, who are here today, Shane and Tori, they were my cabin mates. We have had a long and beautiful friendship, and you're very much a family member as well. And so, Jackie, I want to thank you for all that you did, not only for the School of Conservation to keep us alive and here celebrating our 75th, but also for what you did for the field of environmental education and for our family.
First of all, I'm really happy to see so many people here supporting the School of Conservation. It's just absolutely wonderful. But one of the things, and I am very humbled to even be given this award. I mean, after all these years, how did they even remember me? But I think the most important thing that I feel about the School of Conservation is what the Friends of the School of Conservation have been able to accomplish since Montclair University gave up the ghost. And I think one of the most meaningful things that I can remember is the picture of the very, very active and hard-working Friends of the School of Conservation opening the gate to the School of Conservation after having it closed. And these people who did all of that work deserve all of our thanks, and all the thanks of the people of New Jersey, because this is a New Jersey tradition and resource for everybody, all the citizens, the school students, And I have to also say all of the advisors and organizations that are supporting the Friends of the School of Conservation have just done wonderful, wonderful things. And I'm so happy to be here today and to see the school really thriving. Thank you very, very much.
So if you haven't seen the little display of pictures up here, they were back in the day when Jackie was here. They're absolutely adorable. She was darling. And I put a picture of the one that you like of us. I had to do it. You asked, so I did it. of me terrified going up in a chairlift with Jackie, and she's calming me down. So, okay. Yes, they can bring the cake out. But we're going to keep talking because I have to invite, there's a piece of, in addition to the resolutions, the budget resolutions that we want you to call your legislators about, we are initiating, as of today, a capital fundraising campaign. And our director of, what are we calling you, Deb? Of the capital campaign, Deborah Kornavaca, who is with NJEA and has become a dear friend of the School of Conservation, is leading the charge and would like to talk to you about that. So come on up, Deb.
Good afternoon. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to follow all of that and stand between you and dessert to talk about money. Thanks, Carrie. Oh, good. They're sweetening you up as I talk. This is fabulous. So thank you so much for the opportunity to address you today briefly. I think what you have heard by the commissioner, by the senator, by Carrie, by the team is the important work that we're doing and that we can only do this together. We can only accomplish the mission and make sure in 75 years other people are sitting here celebrating if we do this together. And there is so much going on being done here to celebrate today of the past 75 years and what we're doing together now to grow and expand. That growth and expansion takes investment. It takes investment of people power, and I want to give a second shout out to the amazing volunteer crew that you have put together today, Carrie, who have, yes, kept transformed spaces, kept us fed, kept us hydrated, moving everything around, getting everything set up, driving little children on golf carts. It's been amazing, but it's that collective effort that we need to invest in the next 75 years. So there's people power and there's money. And I come from grassroots organizing. You've got to have organized people and organized money to succeed. And so I am really honored to be in the position of helping to launch our Fund Our Future campaign. Our goal will be in the next year to raise $750,000 to cover projects that include infrastructure, programs, and to seed an endowment fund to make sure that 75 years from now, they are sitting on an endowment that ensures its sustainability for decades to come. And while we're blessed to be part of the state government budget, as we know from this year, it is up to the budget decisions made by others 2 hours away from us, often behind closed doors that we got to knock on a lot to get into, how much money we get every year. So while I believe it is very reasonable to expect continued support from the government, we should not depend on support from the government, and we cannot rely on it if we want to grow and expand and make sure that every student in New Jersey has equity access to the programs that we have, that every educator has access to the professional development, and that every lifelong learner can come and spend a day here like all of you are here today. So it won't surprise you that I have an ask. It may surprise you that I'm not going to ask you for money, which may make me the worst development director on the face of the earth. But I also know from organizing that you go to people and you ask them to utilize their strengths. So let me be clear, if anybody of you want to leave here today with giving us a check and become a funder of the Fund Our Future campaign, we will gladly accept it. But what we need more from all of you today people who have been part of this organization, of this experience for decades and generations, is for you to be ambassadors of this campaign. We need you to be willing to talk about to your friends and to your neighbors, to your school communities, to your Board of Educations, to your corporate partners, to the people you work with, about what a great gem and a great treasure this place is. So when we go, our development team start to hit people up for money, they're going, oh yeah, I've heard about that. I have a friend who talks to me about it all the time. Maybe their kids went there. We need you to be those ambassadors. We need you to pave the way, to lay the groundwork. And I can think of no better group of people than all of you who would choose to spend your day here today in celebration of the 75th anniversary to ask that favor. So can we count on you? All right. So we do have a handy-dandy tool for you to use, which is a really easy booklet. We have about 100 copies under here we'll put by the way out. If you want to grab a few of these to look at yourself, to share with others, we would really appreciate it. You may not immediately see the return on your investment of talking to some people or giving us the name of someone you know happens to be sitting on a lot of money and they're not sure where to spend it, but we guarantee that if you do your job as ambassadors for us, you will make it so that when we go out to ask, there will be yeses, and a year from now we can report back on the success of our campaign, launch the next one to build that endowment for future years to come. So I thank you all for your consideration. I thank you for your commitment, because I heard it, and I got witnesses, right? And I thank you for the anticipated work that you will do. We will leave these by the door, and again, don't think that any action you take is too small, because every single action you do as an individual is part of the collective action, to the point of the commissioner, to the point of the senator, that will ensure our success and our sustainability, and that we will fund our future campaign to fund the future of this organization. I am completely confident we can accomplish together. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. So I have one final guest to invite up, because no celebration would be complete without Jerry Sherlow saying a few words. So Jerry, if you could please come up. Jerry Sherlow had a 30-plus year career here, assistant director. He was on the board of the Friends for a while, and he is now an honorary trustee and a dear friend, and I call him all the time to get advice and guidance. So, Jerry, please come forward. Are you going to say?
Walking sticks. And I'll bring that walking stick back in a minute.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Wow, what a day. What a fantastic day. Unbelievable. It's been a privilege for me to have been an SOC staff member, an NJSOC Friends officer, and an NJSOC champion for the New Jersey School of Conservation for some, you won't believe it, 57 years. In fact, this is the 5th anniversary celebration that I've been privileged to be a part of since 1979. 1979 was the first official anniversary. It was the 30th year anniversary of the School of Conservation. And as I think back, probably maybe the greatest contribution I made to the school that relates to what's happening here today is that I carved this plaque on the wall and dedicated it to the School of Conservation for the 30th anniversary of the school. Take a close look at that plaque. Take a look especially at the last line of that plaque. And I think you would all agree, based on what you've heard today, we're well on our way to the 100th year goal for the New Jersey School of Conservation. I'm going to share just a couple of things, not nearly as I guess profound as some of the things that you've heard today, but this will be kind of a segue into some of the other events that will happen here during the weekend. There is an enormous symbolization of things here at the School of Conservation that mean a lot relating to everything that has ever been done here. So I'm going to share with you a metaphor on some features that are here at the School of Conservation that symbolize many of the things that we're learning about that are happening today. Before I do that, a couple of quotes I brought with me that I think are appropriate to summarize things that you've heard today. Institutional anniversaries represent the transitional threshold between established legends and visionary promise for what lies ahead. You've heard about the foundational legend that Jackie Russell Patterson brought to the school. I had the privilege of joining the staff at the exact same time that she did. I was at that time coordinating college programs that we found out very soon were going to be significantly eliminated. But I would like to endorse what Carrie said, that it's entirely possible that we wouldn't be here today if she hadn't, in those 5 years that she was here, initiated some of the most significant portions of our program that are still being practiced today. Another quote that I found that I think has a bearing on everything that is done here. It's the definition of collegiality. Companionship and cooperation between colleagues who share responsibility. Think about all the messages that we've heard today that deal with responsibility. Not just responsibility of leaders and leadership, but responsibility of everyone and our role to encourage that type of responsibility. The rest of my message deals with a feature that is on the grounds of the School of Conservation that many of you may see today or tonight. How many are staying for the rest of the day and into the evening? If you are, you're going to be heading over to Piney Point for a wonderful campfire celebration, and you're going to see on the edge of the campfire circle that portion of a place called Piney Point, where there are a significant planting of pines that were planted just a few years ago. And because of the nature of that particular species of pine, I'm going to talk about that pine as a metaphor for everything that has happened, is happening, and will continue to happen, I'm sure, here at the School of Conservation. Since over half of the time that I was here, I retired from the school officially in 1999, but went on to do some environmental consulting with some of the very schools that had attended the School of Conservation. At that time, I was a natural science coordinator here at the school. And since the School of Conservation is nestled in the heart of a pristine forested environment, what better metaphor to use than a tree? And in this particular case, the eastern white pine tree, which you'll find gracing the landscape slope at the School of Conservation's Piney Point. This is a symbol of the tree that's there. It's called the eastern white pine. How many are familiar with it? It's fairly native, not just to this side of the Delaware River or the Jersey side, but especially on the Pennsylvania side of the river. There's some really interesting things about the natural history of the eastern white pine that I think have a direct relationship to the School of Conservation. And I'd just like to take a few minutes and share that with you. The fact that these white pine trees are located at Piney Point is significant. How many are familiar with Piney Point? How many have a history that goes back to the 80s, perhaps? Okay, then you all know about Piney Point. But for those who aren't too familiar with it and maybe witnessing it for the first time today, I'll share some things about that. For all those who have had a love affair with the School of Conservation, Piney Point has always been a nostalgic symbol of that love affair. There are significant reasons for that. If you have an opportunity to visit the kiosk at Piney Point, you'll find 3 placards on the back wall of the kiosk. each with its own interpretation of the essence of Piney Point. The three placard titles give you a hint of that essence. Title 1. Piney Point is the site that best represents the historical Civilian Conservation Corps origin of the New Jersey School of Conservation. Title 2. Piney Point is the recognized visionary, programmatic, and philosophical gathering place of the School of Conservation. Those orientations and summations that Jackie helped to initiate at the school are where a lot of those visionary concepts are discussed and related. Title 3. Piney Point is the place-paced node of recollection and sentimentality for scores of individuals who've been witness to the substance and shared camaraderie of NJSOC programming. You can talk to almost anyone who is a veteran of programming at the School of Conservation, and they'll tell you about sentimental and emotional programs that have taken place at Piney Point. If at some point today you find time to visit the kiosk, you can read the full renderings of these placards to give an even clearer understanding of why Piney Point is such an essential focal point of the School of Conservation. So that's kind of one metaphor for what's been happening here. But the other metaphor are the trees of Piney Point. The young but maturing white pine trees on Piney Point were planted there a few years ago to replace some of the dying Piney Point red pine trees originally planted there by the Civilian Conservation Corps and are sadly disappearing because of climate change. Everything that we've been hearing about today. By white pine standards, these white pine trees are still relatively young. You know, they may stand as tall as I am, maybe a little bit taller. But when they grow further and then fully mature, they will demonstrate a phenomenon somewhat unique to that particular species. Each white pine tree will reproduce a huge abundance of pine cones every 4 to 5 years, and this year has been one of those years. If you have native white pines in your area, you will have noticed that. For the moment, keep that 4 to 5 year period of time in mind. One easy way to recall that, this particular 5-year time period, is to know that white pine branches bear their needle leaves in bundles called fascicles. So if I hold this up and you removed one fascicle from this stem here, you would find that there are 5 needles. It's one of the only pines that has that number of needles in it. So that's an easy way to remember this 4 to 5 year period when white pines produce an enormous cache of cones. At any rate, such a timely overproduction of pine cones ensures that some of the wing seeds released by the cones will not be overly consumed by birds and other animals, as those seeds may have been in the previous 4 to 5 years. And many more of them will be free to disperse to other locations and generate more than an average abundance of white pine seedlings. If you allow me a minute more to explain, there's a white pine tree metaphor here relating to the School of Conservation. If one reflects back on the 75-year storied history of the School of Conservation, every 4 to 5 years throughout that history, there's been some motivating factor that instigated significant innovations and program changes that sought to improve the substance and outreach of SOC's multifaceted outdoor and environmental education curriculum. Since I've been here to witness the school for 57 years, time and again, I've been witness to these cyclic, repetitive changes and innovations. Stated in white pine metaphorical terms, the need for such School of Conservation program innovations and changes was somewhat equivalent to the need for mature white pine trees to produce an overabundance of pine cones. For the white pine trees, overproduction of cones means activating a greater dispersal of seeds that will germinate and ensure the continuation of the species. For the School of Conservation, it means responding to cyclic challenges and crises by periodically sowing seeds of creativity, innovation, and change that will prompt, motivate, and ensure the continuation of a renowned environmental education center far into its promising future. As you all know, 4 years ago, the New Jersey School of Conservation suffered a devastating blow that threatened to terminate its existence as a premier environmental education center. But in keeping with the white pine tree metaphor, during that 4-year period, NJSOC friends and passionate advocates of the school responded by producing an enormous cache of seeds of inspiration, motivation, and determination that promised to germinate life-saving possibilities for the school. So this evening, when some of you are gathered around a blazing campfire at Piney Point, glance over at the growing white pine trees on the point and imagine a day when at maturity they'll produce cones with seeds symbolic of the seeds of promise like those sown at the 75th anniversary. And with that thought, you'll be destined to anticipate the future cones of the Piney Point white pine trees in a new and imaginative light. Since this has been a metaphorical exercise equating pine trees with the School of Conservation, here's some brief concluding questions. I won't ask you to respond verbally, but think of them. What is there about the School of Conservation that's like a tree? How has this school in the woods responded to dry spells and diminished fertility in relation to its mission? Where do pollinating sources come from that embolden the school with new growth and a renewed sense of mission? What foundational nutrients have nourished the growth and maturity of SOC's environmental education growth and outreach to its constituents? And what seeds of opportunity and possibilities have been sown at the School of Conservation during the past 4 years? Final question. Why have I spent so much time learning about the cones of white pine trees if the School of Conservation white pine trees have yet to produce cones? I thought I'd better say that in case you go over tonight and say, "Where's the cones, Jerry?" Just like this exercise has been a metaphorical one, so is the answer to this question. The New Jersey School is in an anticipatory mode at this particular time in its evolution. Based on the incredible support it's been getting from its officers, its staff, its advisors, and its constituents, like those of you gathered in this room, the school is anticipating the time in the not-too-distant future when, like the developing white pine trees at Piney Point, it will begin to disseminate incredibly fertile seeds of awareness, knowledge, and comprehension to outreach locales beyond its forest home. It's entirely possible that the peak of this dissemination will occur just at the time the white pine trees at Piney Point begin to develop cones and begin their own dissemination of seeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. So that concludes the formal part of our event today. The fun stuff starts now. And so, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. I'd like to thank Senator Smith and Commissioner Sean LaTourette. Mayor Harper was here earlier. My former colleagues at the DEP for coming. And all of you, all of our friends, the Camp Wapelani alumni. Thank the staff for their amazing work today to make this all happen. And we're going to have some fun in just a few minutes. Tanya, do you want to tell us what we need to do? And then we're going to get going.
It's good to be the bringer of the fun. So this will be the quickest thing you've heard all day today. So in a few minutes, you're going to stand up. You can use the bathroom if you would like. And we are all going to make our way across the bridge to the corral. Dr. Jim Merritt will be waiting there for you with his charisma and his brilliance. And he is going to lead us in a large group School of Conservation activity to kick off the afternoon. After that, all of our instructors, could all of you just wave to our group. So all of our instructors will meet you in the corral. They'll be holding signs that say metalsmithing or boating or fishing or water ecology. And based on what's written on your name tag or what you signed up for this morning, you will find a friendly face who is excited to share some of the SOC magic with you, and you will enjoy a great time out in one of our activities. Any questions? And then Piney Point at the very end of the day. Yep. Okay, go.